What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and this video, I wanted to just have kind of a conversational video for you, a little bit of a rant video, and, I got a game that came in the mail yesterday, and I thought, well, I tweeted about it, let's make a video on it, but I think I can spin it in kind of a interesting direction. So, I'm a big physical kind of guy, preservation, all that jazz. Podcast Now, Back to the Past, of course, if you want to check that channel out. And so here's the deal, okay? Lollipop Chainsaw comes out, and it comes out around mid-September, right? Now, it's coming out, and the first game, notoriously, I guess if you know about it, it's notorious, that, the first game is really, it has a lot of value, okay? It's gotten more valuable as time has gone on, and it's funny that, when I look at old games to purchase and stuff, I'll always kind of see, maybe every, I scroll a couple of times, you'll see a Lollipop Chainsaw for sale. It's like 65, 70 bucks. It's a good amount of money. It's more money, actually, than the original game was worth when it first came out. It's a cult kind of classic. It's a game that resonated with people. I actually liked it. I rented it back in the day and wish I bought it because it's worth so much. But okay, well, Lollipop Chainsaw Repop obviously comes out in September, and they do this great little thing that several games have kind of gotten into the groove of doing, and this is kind of where the rant is going, what I want to talk about in this video. I will say I do give props to any game, I guess, that comes out physically nowadays, because I think that is getting harder and harder, and you have the limited run kind of deals nowadays. You have games that come out digitally and then the physical version comes out way later, and they tend to be more indie or cult classic. Maybe like you don't know that in the moment, but they're going to become that. I mean, I think I missed out entirely on the game, but like TMNT Splintered Fate was a game that came out I believe on PC. It was on mobile even before that, and then on Switch, they've teased the physical, but the game will probably have been out released to the world 6, 7, 8 months before the physical edition actually comes out. And again, you give props, I guess, you give credit where credit's due when a game actually pulls it off, comes out physically. But I guess where I'm going in terms of the aggravation that I have, well, I have it here. Okay, now I got this, and by the way, I mean, come on, I needed this. Okay, so again, like Lollipop Chainsaw, so valuable nowadays, and even if this doesn't necessarily become it, I just feel like it's kind of necessary. Now, September was a very busy period, right? You had like Dead Rising, you had actually quite a few like remaster type categories. Epic Mickey had like the remake and stuff. So when it got closer to this, I thought, well, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it physically, just because of the history with Lollipop Chainsaw and all that. And I don't need it for the channel. I'm getting it primarily just for myself. Now I do plan on playing this, and I probably will do a video maybe on Back to the Past. I think that actually makes sense for a game like this. So it will be for the channel, but like I mean, in the moment, and primarily it's for my own personal enjoyment, and it's to have. It's literally to have, to add to my collection, and I want to get more PS5 and Series X games physically. And I'm kind of starting that right now, okay? So I guess what I'm here to talk about, though, 3 minutes in, it took me long enough, right? You can leave if you want, but what I'm here to talk about is it took 2 months. Like, this just came yesterday. And now maybe that's more of an issue with, like, mail or, anything like that. It might not have to do with anything that we've talked about so far. It could literally just be the way that vehicles drive or planes and stuff like that. But, no, honestly, like, I guess the thing I want to say is, why is it becoming so much harder, like, to do this, right? Because you're kind of lucky now that a game like this even gets it. In fact, a game like this required limited run and Play Asia. Now, I got it through Play Asia. Okay, I actually know Degenerate J got it through limited run, I believe, and his beat me, which is good for him. But no, just kidding. But it's a weird world we live in where like that's looked at as a pro, where it's like, oh yeah, you actually have to give them props for even just getting to this point, because as I said, well, firstly, you have games like the Alan Wakes of the world, or The Man Who Erased His Name, which came out, I believe, November of last year. You're not getting that. That's not coming out. Alan Wake, that took a whole year. They did it for like the 1 year anniversary, and I was pushing them to do it. I was one of many that was pushing them, but you kind of get lucky. You kind of get lucky if they even freaking do it, right? You're almost like begging on your knees for them to do it, and they might not. And then again, for other games, if it's not big enough, right? See, if they're big enough games, to me, it's just mind-boggling that they don't do it at all. If they're smaller tier, AA, indies, you kind of have to cross your fingers and hope that a limited run, I'm not even a fan of limited run almost at all. I've heard a lot about their practices and some of the stuff, and I don't know, I just don't really like them. At the same time, It's like, thank God you have them, because in a lot of, I mean, they keep a lot of games, specifically them, they keep these games in circulation. They keep those physical copies going. So, while I might not like parts of it, I guess, I think you do have to respect them in other parts. I don't know. To me, this is not the smallest game in the world. Like, Lollipop Chainsaw does have a name. Like, and actually, I believe a few days ago, when I'm recording this, which I think you guys are seeing this the same day, I believe like last week, they announced, the publisher, that this game wildly outsold their expectations. Okay, so whatever they expected, and maybe it was only a couple tens of thousands, right? Maybe this game sold 400,000 units, and that's considered massive because maybe they were expecting, a quarter of it. And that's great. I mean, you like to see that. And actually, hopefully, that leads to something more with this franchise, or I guess IP, not really a franchise, right? So I'm on board with that, but I don't know. They don't make it easy on you where, number one, you're kind of crossing your fingers and hoping that limited run or Play Asia, depending on if you're talking like Western versus non-Western, right, that they even have it. And funny enough, okay, I mentioned Jay and all that stuff. When it comes to Play Asia, I got it on Play Asia because, one, I swear it was like a couple dollars cheaper at the time. I think it was like $2-3 cheaper than limited run. And number two, I looked at the estimated shipping / receiving date, okay, for this game on both the sites. And Play Asia's was a month earlier. I swear Play Asia said October, and Limited Run said November. And I said, okay, well, I'm only going to have to wait a month. Or maybe it was even worse. Maybe it was, maybe I'm getting my story wrong. Hopefully not. It could have been that Play Asia said November and that Limited Run said December. Maybe one of them said December because I was thinking, I'm not waiting 3 months to get the game. You know what I mean? And the thing is, they charged me for this, my card, okay? That I won't give you my card, but they charged it months ago. They charged this, I think, early October for this game, and I just spent $45, whatever it was. They took my money because it was on record or whatever, and I didn't get this game until freaking yesterday. Now, I do think multiple waves went out on this game where it was like, okay, because I think I saw people from, like, that got it from Play Asia. They got it, like, 2-3 weeks ago. I don't know if they got their luck of the draw that they just got the copies earlier, but I don't know. I think this is not a video to be like a Karen or anything stupid like that. Honestly, I don't really... Honestly... Because it's me and because it's for me, it's not really a big deal. Like, I actually kind of got a laugh from it because I would check the website and it would say, okay, it's going to ship this date, and then and then I would check it like the next day or a couple days later, and the date was moved by like a week or 2 weeks, and that happened to me like 2-3 times. So, I'm not here saying, boycott or anything like that. No, honestly, I probably will use these sites again because they're kind of all you got. The truth is, they want you to do digital. We've talked about that like 1,000 times in videos on all 3 of my channels, really, right? I get it. I understand it. I mean, it's not really a sneaky move. Like, I can see it coming because we see it every single time. But, that's the playbook. You know what I mean? That they want you to get the game because in all reality, number one, it's limited to a couple different sites. And number two, they are transparent enough where you go on, and I know Lollipop Chainsaw comes out mid-September. I forget the actual date, but maybe like the 16th or something. You can check me on it if you want. So mid-September. But that if you go on these 2 sites, that you're not going to get the game till like November, and then you're, to the customer, they're asking you to either buy it digitally and then buy it again physically, or wait. And the idea of fear of missing out, I think, is actually legitimate. And, depending on the kind of person you are, you might not want to do it. And then also maybe even that, like times 100, like what's the worst case scenario? You have the fear of missing out, but you also want it physically. Because that's the worst kind of person you could be. Not necessarily like against your character. I'm saying in terms of your money, that's the worst kind of person you could be because they got you. You know what I mean? Like that's actually probably what they want. They want a sucker like me. No, I didn't do it all the way, right? Because they want me, specifically like Alex, to get the game in September, content creator, right? Make some videos, all that stuff. And I want the game. I want it as early as possible. They want you to get it in September. And then, if I'm so into preservation, they know I'm eventually going to get it a second time. And I mean, honestly, again, like I'm the sucker who might do that with Alan Wake. Now, they gave me a code for Alan Wake, so I guess I haven't technically bought it. I would be buying it for the first time if I got it physically. But, The Man Who Erased His Name, I think I would do that. I bought that game digitally, whatever it was, $50-$60. Would I get that game physically if it ever happened? I mean, it's kind of a collector's item at that point. I think it actually would be quite valuable. So, those are kind of the people that they're targeting, and in a negative way, like targeting it as a bad thing. So I don't know. I'm just, it's frustrating at the same time. Like, I'm not trying to make it like, oh, I couldn't fall asleep, for the last 2 months because I was sitting at my door, waiting for the package to come. It is what it is. It doesn't affect me as much because it wasn't a game I was, again, like, for the channel, right? Like, this is a game for me. This is a game that came out around the same time as like Astrobot. I was still coming down off my high from that. I think I was still playing like Black Myth Wukong at the time, right? So it's like, I was playing other stuff. I didn't need the game right away. Am I upset that the game came 2 months later? Honestly, no. I mean, like, I've played so many games between when this game came out in mid-September to now. I've played like 20 freaking games, right? So it's like, I didn't need it that second, but it is interesting because you almost have to ask like a genie, for a wish to get these games to be physical. And then now there's that extra step, okay, you have it physical, but here's what we're going to do. It's limited time. So, if you don't get it, like the prices might actually very well jump off the freaking roof. It's going to get pretty high, right? And then also number 2, you're going to have to wait for it. So if you want it physically, we got you. We actually are doing it a limited time thing. And it's like, okay, well, great. Like, I'll pay, limited time. I'll just be one of the first 10,000 people to get it. Oh, but you're going to have to wait 2 months. So the game will be out. You can just get it digitally. But if you want it specifically, you're going to have to wait 2 months. Or again, you buy it twice. And it's like, this is the way it's going. And it's only going to get worse. And I mean, it's like the shipping thing, whatever. But that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video. So hopefully that was interesting in some way. You let me know if it was. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.